Hello world, Codes here. Welcome to this video. In this video, this is what we are going to build. Let me refresh. Alright, it's just a model of a car. So this is just a simple front-end design. Anyway, let me just demonstrate what it's all about. Now, if you hover on this button where you see front there, you see this design, you see the animations. Alright, so if I click on this one front first, for example, you see it takes us to the front of the car. Then let me click on rims, takes us to the wheel. Then how about back? Takes us to the back of the truck. All right. Now, if I click on this dashboard, you see it takes us to this particular part of the truck, and the door opens. Now, this is what we are going to build in this video. So, in this project. So, without much ado, let's carry it on immediately. Before anything, I will encourage you to first of all go to the description and download this this project. Okay, all right, it's called the Ford 150 project. Now it's already in my PC. So once you open this project, the only thing you have to do next is to just, first of all, if in case you don't have it, you must install install any. Anyway, it's not a must, but it's just I encourage you to do so. Install what's it called again? Git bash. Okay. So if you install git bash, then all you have to do is you go into the project, like for example the Ford 150 project. You right click, then you see where it says open git bash here. So just click it. Git bash will open. All right. So git bash is just, in case you don't know, it's just a command line app or command line application that you can use in this project to install all the dependencies. Of course, you can also use VS Code. That their own works too. Anyway, just install git bash. It's good enough. So you go here. Sorry, you type npm install, then enter. Okay, npm install, enter. So wait for it to install. As you can see, you see this loading stuff here. So let's just wait for it to install. Okay, now it is done installing. As you can see, when we go to the project, you see this node modules. It wasn't there, but now it's there. Okay, so the next thing we have to do now, because it has already, this is how Three.js gets installed into your project. So what we have to do now is to go over here to the to the command line app or git bash and type again npm run dev. This is to start a server. Okay, so press enter. All right, now it has opened this server called localhost 5174. So here it is, localhost 5174. All right, so as you can see, there is nothing, there is absolutely nothing happening. Therefore, we'll have to now go to the the text editor or the code editor to start typing. So here is, first of all, you navigate into the source. Okay, as you can see here, it says users, then Ford, it downloads Ford 150 projects src. All right, so this is basically, you just, as you can see it here, you see it's src here, source here, all of these things. This is where you're going to do everything you're going to do. Okay, the img is simply the logo. All right, so but before then, I'll first of all say thanks to Bruno Simon for preparing this particular file, because I got it from him. So the first thing we have to do is to import the modules will the first thing we'll do is to import all the modules that we'll need in this project. All right, so let's do that. Let's do them immediately. So we first of all do import. You type import star or asterisk as 3 from 3. It means that we are importing Three.js. Okay. Now the next one we are going to import is GLTF loader. So this one is from this 3 examples, whatever. So where do we find this? It's simple. Go to your what's it called? To your source to the project file. Then you go to node modules. Then you see this folder here, this directory called 3. Click on it. So we see examples. Then GSM. These are the things we are going to import. All right. Or these are the what's it called, the folders or the modules that we will need in our projects. Okay, so that this is where you get this loaders gltf loader.js. Okay, so the gltf loader is used to import what's it called modules. Okay, for example, in this opening the intro, you saw the truck. All right, so that truck is a module I got from sketchfab.com. So in order to import it into our project, we need to use this module called gltf loader. All right, so we are going to import the next one, which is RGBE loader. Okay, so I don't want to talk too much about this. In fact, I won't talk about it for now. As the project goes on, we will talk about them. All right, so let's continue. So first of all, I save. If I go to the browser, there is nothing going on, okay? Because we haven't done anything yet. So up next, we'll initialize the gltf loader, okay? So to do that, we'll simply say, we'll simply type or make a what's it called, a variable called, or a constant, which is an immutable variable. So this constant, which we call it const gltf loader, is a new gltf loader. Okay. All right. So now that we have initialized this one, the next thing we are going to do now is to select the canvas. So how do I select the canvas? It is very simple. You first of all go to the index.html. Okay. So in the index file, you see where it is here, canvas. So we are going to select this because it is inside here that we are going to do everything we are going to do. All right, or everything we'll be doing will be done inside this elements. So in order to select that, we'll go to scripts. Sorry, our script.js file. All right. So say const canvas is document.query selector canvas.webgl. All right, so we have selected this one now. Okay, now we have done the selection. We have selected or captured the canvas. We now have to create a scene. Okay, we have to make a scene. But when I say make a scene, I don't mean like make a scene as going to disgrace yourself or to draw attention to yourself. I mean make a scene as in a theater or on a stage. So the scene is there. So the scene is where you put all the things that will be needed in the play. Okay, for example, the cameras, the lightings, the actors, the props, everything they're going to use will be inside that scene. So the first thing, so the next thing we are going to do is to make the scene. All right, so we have it here. It says const scene is new 3.scene. So the scene we are making is a Three.js scene, okay, not a real life scene. The next thing we are going to do now is to do what kind of, let me say, to take control of the screen here. Okay, so for that to happen, we first of all create what is called, or what I call, objects for sizes. All right, so that's what I'm going to do next. But don't worry, in case it's confusing you, but don't worry, it's very simple. All right, so it says const size. So this is a constant, and we are making an object, as I said earlier. It is an object. So inside this object, you have width, okay, and height. So width is window dot inner width, height is window dot inner height. In case you are new to this thing, I'm sure you are not. So this is the inner height. Sorry, this is the inner width. When you go from here to here, so this is the inner width. Then the inner height is from here to down here. Okay, so we are going to capture it so that we'll be able to work with it. All right, so let's continue. Now, after doing that, we will then create the camera because this is very important. Without it, the camera might give us an error, or there's several things we have to do. But anyway, I just want to keep it simple. That is why I'm doing it this way. So we'll first of all create the camera. So when we create the camera, we'll then set the position, then add it to the scene because whatever you're doing in JavaScript, sorry, in Three.js, after doing it, you add it to the scene. Okay? So let's continue. You create a constant called camera. Then to it, we add this this line, this code says new 3 dots perspective camera. This number here 25 is for focal what's it called, focal points, sorry, the focal length. Okay, I talked about this in the last video. So the focal length, then this is the size of the size, the width, then the height. Okay, these ones, don't worry about them. It's not really important for now. So now that we have gotten the camera, the next thing we have to do now is to set the position. So we say camera dot position dot set. So the 10, this is the X position, this is the Y position, and this is the Z or Z position, depending on the type of English you speak. So after that, what we have to do next is to add the camera to the scene. All right, so scene dot add camera. All right, so now we are done with the camera. Then we're going to do the rendering. Okay, we're going to render it on the screen. Okay, so let's do that next. So to do that, we create a constant called renderer. Okay, so the renderer is new 3 dots WebGL renderer. Okay, so in it we have to supply this should I call it this parameters. So the canvas, which is the canvas as we have which is up here, then with anti-alias is true. Anti-alias is just kind of, let's say, kind of jagged lines, so we want to remove those jagged lines, so that's why we put this anti-alias as true. Okay, so we are not yet done with the what's it called, the rendering. Okay, there are several other parameters that we need to add to. Okay, let's do them immediately. So here are the other parameters. So renderer dot physically correct lights is true. So this is to make the lights to be like real light. Okay, to be like lights you see in real life or in movies. And yeah, in movies. Then this one says renderer dot output encoding 3 dots sRGB encoding tone mapping. Then this is the tone mapping. I talked about all this in the last video, so you can always reference that video to get what all of these things are. Then tone mapping, exposure, and everything, blah 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 blah. Okay, so you need to type all of these things in your own project or in your code editor. All right, but let me save. Let me save first of all. Then go to the browser. We still don't have anything. Okay, of course you can see these. What are they called? These lines here, or what is that? Scroll bars. Okay, but we still don't have anything yet on the screen, so we have to fix that immediately. Then it means that the next we have to move to the next thing. So the next thing we are going to do is to do the animation part. Okay, so because this is basically like video games. Okay, so the video games, when you play your games, those images you see there are simply rendered each second. Okay, I mean rendered sometimes 30 times per second or 60 times per second. So that is what they mean by frames per second. Okay, so it is animated each time. So it's kind of, it shows one image, then takes it off, paste another image, takes it off, and paste another image. So many times per second, depending your FPS, frames per second, whether it is 60 times or 30 times or depending. So that is what we are going to do next. So first of all, create a constant, call it const animates. Okay, const animates will be a function. All right. So basically, this is an arrow function. Okay. So what then happens once we in this function? What is going to happen inside? Let's do that immediately. So say renderer dot render. So we are going to render whatever is inside here. So the renderer dot render takes two parameters or two arguments, so which are scene. So we are going to render the scene and the camera. Okay, but this will not do anything. Now let me save. I go over here, still nothing. All right. Now we have to make the animation to be running each time. Okay, to be running should I say several times per second, which is the FPS part. Okay, so in order to do that, I simply type window dot request animation frame. Sorry, oh, what's going on here? Window dot request animation frame, then animate. So we are simply recalling this function several times each second. Okay, so which is the FPS I am talking about. So let me save. Still nothing. Okay, if you know anything about JavaScript, you know that I made an error here, or there is something I ignored. So which is that I did not call the function. All right, so let me do that right away. So here it is. Now let me save. I go straight to the browser. Now we can see this black box thing here. Okay, now we are getting something, we are getting somewhere. So the next thing we are going to do is the responsiveness and resizing. Okay, so that it will the image will not be distorted, be it on mobile or desktop, doesn't really matter. So let's do that immediately. Let's go straight to the text, or sorry, the code editor. So let's go up here under the sizes, that is in the sizes section. So now we have window.add event listener resize. So we are looking for the resize events. So what happens when we resize? All right, so say sizes.width would then become window.innerWidth. Then sizes.height would then become, would then become the window.inner height. All right, so to just take up the size, the whole screen. Then the camera also. Then updates projection matrix. I talked about this in the last video. I don't want to talk about it now because just going to make this video too long. All right, then renderer.set pixel ratio, then math.min, then window.device pixel ratio, then this number here. So I don't want to talk about them in this video because it's gonna make it too long. Please, if you want to know what these things are, you can simply Google them, or you watch the last video where I talked about where I went in depth about what these codes do. All right, so let me save. Go straight to the browser. All right, so we have some responsiveness. But unfortunately, you can't really see it because we have to also handle the CSS part. All right, so it's not just using Three.js. We also have to do CSS too. So go straight to the style.css. You see it's empty. So unfortunately, this is not a CSS tutorial. Therefore, I will not be spending so much time on it. I'll just kind of paste the code so that you see what, you can't. I understand that. I mean, I should understand, but by now you understand CSS. All right. So here is what we have. We have the asterisk, which means to select all. So we are going to remove the default margin and padding that the browser gives to each element. So and then the HTML and the body, we then put overflow hidden. All right. Then the canvas itself, which is what we call the WebGL, the .webgl, to to show that we let me show it to you. So as you can see, it says class WebGL. So let that not confuse you. All right. So position is absolute, top 0, left 0, outline none, Z index or Z index is -1. All right. Now let me save. Let's see what we have. So as you can see, it is now occupying the whole real estate. Okay. All right. Now the next thing we are going to do again is to add what I will call or what is called environmental lights. Right. So we are just going to add some kind of background lights. All right. So let's do that immediately. So go straight to the scripts. All right. So you go under the base section. All right. This is where we are going to do it. So first of all, let me indicate what section here. So environments or HDR. All right. So here the first thing we are going to do is to create a variable called environment map. Sorry, let's environment map. Okay. All right. Now that we have created this, so we now have to instantiate this RGBE loader. All right. So say new RGBE loader dot load. So this is to load the HDRI. Okay. So what's the HDRI? HDRI is kind of it's basically your how do I put it? It's like PNG or JPEGs, like your PNGs and JPEGs. But the difference now is that it has more range. I mean the range of colors between the dark and the light, and to make it more realistic. Okay, to make everything look more realistic and dynamic. So in fact, in short or in a nutshell, HDRI is simply a high dynamic range image. So this image format, remember, it's an image format just like your JPEGs and PNGs, but this one captures a much wider range of brightness and color information than the others I mentioned earlier. So it allows for more natural looking details in both the bright and the dark areas of a photograph. Okay, so it is usually high quality, and it's usually heavier than the others. In fact, that is the reason why when we go down here, where is it again? It says renderer dot physically correct lights. True. So all of these come together to aid or to help in making our scene look much realistic, like let's say as if you are watching a movie, or you took the image using your camera. So now we are going to load the HDR image. So where is this HDR? It is here. You go to let me take you back a little bit. You see inside the static, then you see this the textures. Okay. Then inside the textures, you see the environment maps. Inside the environment maps, you see the HDRI or the HDR. So where do I get this file from? I downloaded it from polyhaven.com. So you can always go there and download whatever HDR file you want. So with this now, okay, we will now have to load it into our project. So let me do that immediately. So we supply this string. Okay, so this string is the path to our HDR image. Okay, just as I said earlier, textures. Then inside textures, you get the environment maps. Then inside this environment map, you then get the file. All right. So now we'll have to we'll have to create a variable here. So this variable, the name of this variable is where kind of whenever we load this file, then we store it inside this variable. Okay. So we'll call that variable HDR texture. Once we have done all this, we'll run the following function. Okay. So let me do that immediately. Uh, all right. So what function are we going to run? So not what function, please. So wait. Okay, let me take this one down so that it will be. Oh wait. I think let's do it from here so that it won't go into, let everything be in one place. So here is the first thing we'll have to do. So we'll say HDR texture dot mapping will be 3.equi rectangular reflection mapping. Okay. The next one will be scene.environment will be this HDRI texture. Okay. Remember, we are talking about the environment map. Okay, so don't forget that. All right. The next one will be scene.background. Okay, the background of our scene will be HDR texture. All right. So after then, we'll then run another this is now where we are going to run a function. So the function will be called update all materials. Okay. So update all materials simply we are going to update the materials in the module that we are loading from the let's say all of these things will then affect the module, the way the materials look, so that it will look realistic. The metallic surfaces will look metallic, plastic surfaces will look plastic, like plastic. Then transparent surfaces, or let's say like glassy materials, will look like real glass. All right. So but unfortunately we don't have any how do I put it, this update all materials is not built into either JavaScript or Three.js. So we have to define this update materials. Okay, so that is what we are going to do next. So for us to do that, we'll have to go up here and create a new section. Of course, how do you know I create a new section? Is this codes that are commented out. Okay, these comments. So update all materials. Okay, here is where we are going to be updating. We are going to be creating this function or defining this function. All right, so let's continue. So let me do it. So first, we'll make an immutable variable, aka constant or const. So const update all materials. Now we are going to instruct. We are now going to define the function. Okay, so we'll say scene dot traverse, dot, not comma, dot traverse. Okay, so scene dot traverse, which means the scene will have to go through all the materials, or all the to have to go through all the scene. Okay, so once it goes through all the scene, what happens? So first of all, create a what's it called, a variable that we'll call child. So once it goes through all the objects inside the scene, then whatever it gets, it will store it inside this variable called child. Okay, so first of all, I made a little mistake here. Okay, so it is the scene.traverse is a function, is a method. Okay, so we now have to create the child variable inside it. All right. Once that happens, then we have to run this callback function. All right. So here is what it's going to do. So it will first of all check. Okay. So to check something means if. So if child instance of 3, so 3.mesh and child.material is instance of 3.mesh standard material. So what this means is if the object it got is a mesh, okay, and it has a material of mesh standard material. So basically this every what do I put it, how do I put it, every model you download from the internet is will usually have a material of mesh standard material, and the mesh itself will be the body itself will be Three.mesh. All of them are like that. I haven't seen anyone that is not of this. Okay, so after that, then it will then if it's checks if this one returns true, that is to say this one is mesh and the material is also a mesh standard material. If these two conditions come back true, then it will move on to these ones now. Okay, so that material, that this environment map intensity will then become this debug object dot env map intensity. So we haven't done this one, but we're going to do it later. Okay, so then we'll have to make it to be able to to cast shadow. Okay, so that's why I say child dot cast shadow true. Then child dot receive shadow will also be true. So it will now be able to both cast and receive shadows. Okay, so now let me save it and see what we have. I save, go straight to the browser. You see, it's instead of the dark background or the dark box we had, now we have this lights scene. Okay, so we now have the lights. All right. So okay, I did talk about the what's it called, the debug object map intensity. So this is just the intensity of the lights. Okay, we just want to control how bright the whole thing is. So let's do that immediately. So we then have to go down here. Then okay, so we create another immutable or unchangeable variable, which is a constant. So we call it debug object, which is an object. Okay, these two things here, of course, you should know that. Then debug object dot env intensity, we'll keep it at 1. All right. So now I save, go over to the browser. So we still have the same thing. Now the next thing we are going to do is to load the module. Okay, we're going to load the module. So to be able to achieve that, we'll first of all go, of course, to the what's it called, the code editor. So what we have to do now is to go to the where is it again, please? Yes, under this one. Then first of all, let me sorry, this is where we are going to create the what's it called, the models. Okay, all right. So now under this, so here is the code for the to load the model. Okay, of course I explained this thing in the last video. I don't want to go through it so much. So this model can be found in your project file. So once we load it, okay, we then store it inside this variable called gltf. But then we also have to create another module, another variable called Ford module. Okay, but okay, let me just continue explaining. So we'll create another one called Ford module. Okay, let me just do it at once, please. Okay, we'll say let's Ford module. Sorry. All right, so we first of all create a variable here called Ford module. Then we load it, and what we have to do now is to put this gltf inside this Ford module. The reason why we are doing it is simply because we want to simply use this variable in order to be able to animate this how do I put it, this model in another sorry, in another function, please. Okay, so we are going to animate it inside another environment or another function, because we cannot be doing all the animation inside here. So in order to be able to reference it, we'll then create a global variable for it. Then you access that model using this global variable. So here we assign the Ford model to this gltf.scene. So we set the scale to 1, 1, 1, okay, on all axes. Then the Ford model, the position, we put it exactly at the center. Now the Ford model, the rotation also, so the x is 0, then 2.806 on the x-axis, on the y-axis, please, then 0.018 on the x-axis. Then after everything, we add it to the scene Remember, whatever you create, you add it to the scene later. Then the next one we have to do is to update all materials to make sure that everything looks as realistic as possible. All right, so let's see if it's going to work. I don't think we will see anything, but anyway, let's just do it. I save, go over to the browser. Okay, we have an error, so let's see what. Okay, no, we don't have any error. But anyway, let me just check it in case. No, there is no error. Don't mind these things; these are not errors. Okay, but we will not see the model now. Don't worry, we'll see it later. So let's continue. But anyway, I think I should show us the camera. Okay, sorry, not the camera, the model. So we simply go to the camera.position because the camera is positioned elsewhere. The reason why I did it like this because remember in the intro we are supposed to animate the car into the scene. Okay, we are not just going to display it. So basically, let me set the camera, the X position to 0. Now I go back to the browser. All right, you should see the truck. Okay, not the car, please. You should see the truck now. All right. So, but in order not to confuse ourselves, let's put it back to where it's supposed to, where it was. Okay, now the truck will go. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do now is to create the, what do you call it, the ground on where it will stand, because as it is now is that it looks like it is floating in the air. So we have to create the ground on which it will stand. So let's do that right away. So we go up here under the models. All right. So make sure you type this one there. Remember, the ground will also serve as the shadow catcher. All right. Because as it looks, as the way the truck looks now, it looks like it floats in the air because there is no shadow. It is the shadow that will make us have the feeling that it is standing upon something. So let's continue. So we create this const, aka variable, immutable variable. So we call it ground. So we give it to it. We assign this. It says new 3.mesh. So this mesh, will give it new 3.plane geometry. Okay, 200 by 200, which is a dimension. Then, or the size. Then we'll give it the shadow material. Okay, opacity is 0.25. Okay, this will make it to be able to to receive shadow, so that our model will be able to cast shadow on it. All right, then the next thing we have to do is to position it, to rotate it and position it in the right way, because if we leave it, it will be vertical, but we have to make it horizontal. So that is why we say ground.rotation.x, which is minus math.pi divided by 2. Ground.receive shadow, true. All right, then after everything, we add it to the ground, sorry, we add it to the scene. So let's save and see what we have, and then go to the browser. All right, nothing yet, because remember the camera. Okay, now let's see what we really have here. The reason why I don't want to do it like this, because I don't want it to get us confused. Okay, so for now we don't have anything, but don't worry, we will get it right later. Let's continue. Put it back to 10. Okay, so now we have to create directional lights, because without lights there will be no shadow. Okay, remember the lights we put is just catching light from the background to use it to lighten the scene, but in order to get a shadow we need kind of sunlight. Okay, we need a kind of sunlight, or what's it called, a sunlight, or oh my god, what is it called again, a stop lamp, spot lamp. Yes, please, a spot lamp, or an area lamp, or something like that. But we are going to use sunlight, and sunlight in Three.js is called directional light. Okay, so let's get it on immediately. So this one will go above the model. All right, So create the section for the lights and stay tuned. All right, so we'll first of all create this constant called direct light, or dir lights, short for direct light. So new 3 to it we assign new 3 dot directional lights. So this is the color of the lights, then this is the intensity. This number is for the intensity of the lights. Then here we'll put the position x, y, z or z. Then we should make it to be able to cast shadow. We are not going to make it to receive shadow because light doesn't receive shadow. It is because of the light that shadows form. Okay. Then the map size is this. Then the other one is the camera, the shadow dot camera near and far. Anyway, we'll talk about this one later. So at the end of the day, we'll then add it to the scene. All right. So I save. Okay. Let's continue. So apart from the directional lights, we also have another one called the hemi lights. Okay. So let's do that immediately. So for the hemi lights, we'll go down a little bit. Okay. So we'll say const hemi lights, new 3 hemisphere lights. Okay. This one I don't have to explain too much about it. Okay. So hemi light is simply a light source that is positioned directly above the scene. So with the which makes the color will be fading from the sky color to the ground color. Remember, or should I say, note that this light does not it doesn't cast shadow just like the directional light does. All right. So now let's continue. So the next thing we are going to do now is to create a kind of fog, fog for our scene. All right, to make it look more realistic. So we'll say scene.fog will be new 3.fog. So this will be the color. This will be the, I think this is the far and the near stuff. Anyway, we'll talk about that later, in another video. So I don't have time for this. This is very, I don't want to waste time on it. So after this one, what we have to do now is to go to the index, the UI. We have to design the UI now. So which means that we have to go to the index file, to the index.html, then add the code for the UI, those buttons that you'll be able to click. All right. So for that one, we'll say we'll go under the under the script. No, not under the script, please. Above. Okay. We have to, everything has to be in order. All right. So we create a div first of all with an ID of btn container or button container. Then inside it, we have this one called button with a. We have 4 buttons. All right. So the first one has a class of front button. Then inside it, you have a span element of front. Span elements. Okay. Then front is the text. All right. So you then see the same thing with the second one, which is the rims. So you see the rims button as the class, or rims btn, then the dashboard btn, back btn. Then okay, this corresponds to the buttons you will see that you'll be able to, for example, in the intro, the ones I clicked, you can always go back and see it for yourself. Okay. So after this one, I save. Let's see if we have anything on our browser. Okay. Okay, we'll have these buttons up here. Okay, but right now they're not doing anything. All right. But for them to do anything, or first of all, let's style them. Let's style them first. Okay. Let's do the CSS part before we move on. So again, this is not a CSS tutorial, so I will not be explaining much in that CSS file or in this CSS part. All right. So this is the section for the btn container. Okay, so here is the position, which is absolute. Okay, so just you can get it. You can always download this. How do I put it? You can download the file from the disk. You go to the description and get the link to download this, so you can copy it directly. Okay, so here is for the btn container, then the button, then the span. All right, then we also have the button before. Okay, so this before is for is for pseudo elements. Okay, that is to say elements created in the CSS. Then we have when we hover over it, the color will change. Then when we hover on the before, that is the pseudo element, then this left will be 0, right will be 0, then opacity will be 1. So I save. Let's see what we have. Now I go to the browser. All right. So if I hover, this is what I get. So what should happen now is that if I click here, the car should come in, or the car should animate. But before then, we'll have to do something very, very important that we haven't done. We have to install another dependency called GSAP. So which will help us to, once we click here, we'll use GSAP to animate the model. Okay. So that will warrant us to, first of all, kill this or destroy this server. Okay, or we stop the server. So you simply press Q on your keyboard, then the server is stopped. Okay, so once that happens, you install GSAP by saying, or by typing over here, npm install GSAP, then enter. We should allow it to install the GSAP. Okay, as you can see, it is installing. All right, now it is done installing. Okay, so what we have to do now is to restart the server by typing npm run dev. So we are going to wait for it to restart the server. Okay, now the server has restarted. Okay, let me take this one off. All right, so we now have a new server with GSAP dependency installed correctly. So what we have to do now is import GSAP. So we have installed it. Now we are going to import it in our code. So we simply go to the script.js file, then go up here, then we're going to be importing GSAP. Okay. So here it says import GSAP from GSAP. All right. Okay. So to make sure that GSAP has been imported, so first go back to node modules. You see it here, GSAP. It wasn't here before. Okay. Now it's there. All right. So let's go back to our code. Okay. So just as I said earlier about the camera, that is to say, we don't want the model to just appear once it is finished loading. We want it to animate in. Okay. So remember, GSAP is for animation. So what we have to do now is to go to the camera and command it to animating the kind of the car should come in sort of an animation mode. I don't know if you understand what I mean. If you see you can go and see the intro just as the car came in, turning, as it's rotating. So that's what we want to do now using GSAP. So to do that, we'll simply go to the camera, then we say GSAP2. So this camera, the camera.position. So here are the parameters for the new, how do I put it, the new position that it will occupy, okay? Or the new position that it will be. So the X will go from 0 to, we'll go from 10 to 0. Then duration of the animation will be 3 seconds. Is it 3 seconds or 3? I think it's 3 seconds. Then the ease will be sec.out. So GSAP2, so which means that it will be animating from here to here. So let me save. Let's see what we have. All right. So excuse me, I said I made a mistake. Please let me do it again. Or anyway, I said position, please, not I made a mistake by saying rotating. No, it's position, okay, not rotation. Please bear with me. Okay, I'm just doing fast now. I need to go. So I'm trying to run faster than my shadow. So let's try it again. I reload. Wait. Okay. You see? And the shadow is there. All right. So let's do the one that the car goes round or the car rotates. So we can easily do that by using GSAP to animate the rotation, this time around of the model itself, okay, not the camera. So we'll go up to the model. Remember I said we are going to rotate the model itself. So when you're doing your own project, you should know when you are going to rotate either the model or the camera, okay, or position or the model or the camera. So that depends entirely on the what's it called, the project, okay. So where is this model, please? All right, so below the update all materials function or method, so I paste this GSAP code there. So GSAP will animate from the model, sorry, from the position rotation place that where it used to be. Then the y, it will rotate on the y-axis -5, duration is 2.4 seconds. Then the is circ out. Okay, let me save, and then I go to the browser. Let's see what we have there. All right, excellent, good. So we are progressing. Okay, now the next thing we are going to do is to kind of use click events. You know, when we click here, then things should happen. Okay, so to do that, we are going to add event listeners to each of these buttons. Okay, so let's do that immediately. So we'll now have to go over there to capture these buttons. So let's go up, 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 up. All right. So here is the section for the buttons. So first of all, get the rims. Okay, we should call the rims BTN, which corresponds to this one. Where is it again? Yeah, rims BTN. Okay. So this is for the front button, then the dashboard BTN or button. Okay. So let me fix this error here. It doesn't matter. This one doesn't. This is what I'm trying to do now. You can leave it. It doesn't matter. It's just that this IDE is forcing me to do it, but it doesn't matter. I can leave it. So now we have all these buttons. We have captured these buttons, okay, or we have selected them. Now we have to add events or event listeners to each of them, okay, so that once we click, then something will happen or an animation will happen. All right, so let's continue. So what we have to do now is go down to the camera, because it is the camera that we are going to be animating. All right, so we go down to the camera right now. Now here is the animations. So type this on this section. Now we are going to be adding the animations. So first of all, we add the rims. Okay, first of all, put the rims. So we'll then add an event listener to it. So we are going to be listening to an event of click. So once this happens, then we run the following function. Okay, so say GSAP 2. So for model. So not only are we going to run the camera, animate the camera, we're also going to animate the model itself. So that is why I earlier put here Ford model here, so that we'll be able to access this model using this variable. So without it, we would never have been able to. There is no way, because of what is called variable scope. Okay, so for model dot rotation, so we are going to rotate it on the y-axis. This number 1.751, duration will be a second, then the ease will be circ out. So aside from that one, we're also going to animate the camera position. So these are the numbers for the position of the camera. Then the duration will be 1.5. Then the ease also will be circ out. So now let's see if it actually works. So I save, I head over to the browser, allow it to load. All right, so now which one did I do again, please? It was locate rims. Okay, let me click. All right, you see everything, the model itself, that is the truck, rotates, then the camera also positions itself correctly where I want it to be. All right, Now I'm going to do the same thing for the front, of course, and back. But this one, I will do it last because it's a little bit, oh, come on. It's a little bit more complicated, okay? So let's continue. So what do I do now? I simply go over here, then paste this one here. So it says front, add event listener. Okay, so these are the animations for the fronts. All right, so now I'll also test it and see what we have. I save, then head over to the browser, allow it to load. All right, so fronts. All right, okay. I measured all of these things first before I did any of these things. So if you want to know how I was able to get these positions and rotations, you can always watch the last video, or at least you can let me know in the comments so that I will make a special video on how to get these numbers. All right, so let's continue immediately. Please don't mind the voice of the people shouting outside, please. I don't know what's wrong with them. So here is for the back of the truck. All right, so I save, head over to the browser once more. Let's see what we have over there. All right, so the back. Okay, now remaining the dashboard. It's not really a dashboard, but it's just a name I call it anyway. So please bear with me. So as for the dashboard, the why this one is a little bit more complicated is that this door is supposed to open, but I cannot open it using GSAP. Okay, I wasn't able to do that, but I used another. Sorry, please. I used another method. Okay, so to show you what I mean, once you go over here to the static, you see the textures, then no, please, the models, then you see it says Ford Anim 2. Okay, Ford Anim 2.glb. So the very first model I used when I was trying to use GSAP, I just called it Ford. But when I used Blender to change a few things, so to be able to, I animated it in Blender, then I imported the whole thing into GSAP, sorry, into Three.js. Okay, so let me show you what I mean, please. So here is the same model in Blender. Okay, this is Blender 3D. So if I move this timeline here, as you can see, so I animated not only the door, I also animated the camera, but I found out that I only needed the door, so I was able to leave it like that. So this is what you should be getting, okay, once you click the dashboard button. Though this camera will not be animated, so don't worry about that. So that's that for Blender 3D. This is what we are going to work on right now. So go over to the editor. So we go, where is it, please? All right, so first of all, let's do that of the camera. Okay, remember in Blender I also animated the camera, but I found out that it wasn't necessary, so I could simply do it in using GSAP. Okay, so we are going to position only the camera. Okay, so camera.position. So these are the numbers. All right, so let me save, head over there and see what we have, allow it to load. All right, now I click on dashboard. You see what it does. Okay, so this is not how it's supposed to be. So we are going to correct this next. All right, and this time around we have to move up to the model. Okay, we have to move up to the model. All right, so over here then we just, as you did in the same code down there, just paste it here. Just that we are going to remove this camera.position because we are not animating the camera. All right, so just want to make sure that we are adding an event listener to this to the, what do I put it, the dashboard in this function. Okay, so that this one will now run when we click. Okay, whatever we are going to write, we are going to type here will run also when we click this this particular button here, or yeah, this particular thing here. So what we do now is, first of all, excuse me, please. So inside here, you type GSAP to, you see, forward model rotation, so that it will rotate to the correct, to the correct position once we click it. So let me save and see what we have. Allow it to load. All right, it has finished loaded. So let me click dashboard. As you can see now, it is taking us to this part of the car. So now what we should be able to do is to open this door. Okay, just as you saw in Blender. So that's what we are going to do next. So that animation is already inside this model. So what we have to do now is to play that animation when we click this button. Okay. So in Three.js, in order to play animations we got from let's say Blender, we have something called mixer. Okay. So we say let's mixer. All right. So mixer, normal mixer, to mix animations. So that's basically what we are doing here. So first of all, create a variable called mixer. Okay, let's save. So we will then go under here. Then what we have to do now, what we have to do now is assign this animation mixer to this variable that we just created. I will call mixer. So mixer will be assigned to it will be assigned new 3 dots animation mixer. So here we are going to add the model that contains the animation, so which is the forward model. All right, so I just copy it, then go over here, paste it. All right, so now we've gotten the mixer. We will now create another variable that we'll call clips. So to it we assign this one called gltf dots animations. Okay, so I save. Next, so these clips that is assigned to which this gltf dot animations is assigned, or animations, I don't know, should I say are or is, because why it says animations is that it has usually different animations in it, because usually when people animate their models, they don't just give it one animation. They animate different parts of it, or different animations inside one model. Okay, so we will now have to go or loop through each of those clips that we created in, for example, Blender, and then animate them depending on which of the animations we want at what particular time. Okay, so for us to do that, let's continue. So we'll then create a variable called clip. So for each clip, okay, what are we going to do? All right, so we have to loop through each of the clips and get each clip and work on it. So the first thing we have to do is to create a const which will store the action. So as we call here, clip action. So we'll call that action that variable action. Okay. So what is this action? Action is simply, for example, when you go to YouTube, you click play or pause or stop. So pause, stop, play, those are actions. Okay. So we want to know the action we want to use. That is what we store inside this variable called action. So it's gotten from mixer dot clip action. So the clip. All right, so let's continue. The next one is action dot set loop. Okay, so this set loop is, we want it to run only once. So that's why I would say 3 dot loop once. So we want it to play just once. Okay, we don't want it to open and close, open and close, open and close. No, we don't want that. So let's continue. Another thing we can do is to tell it to clamp when finished. Okay, so kind of saying the last frame we should stop there. So the animation should stop there. So that is what this clamp when finished true is all about. So now comes the main thing. But before then, we'll first of all get this dashboard.add event listener. Okay. No, we cut. No, not copy. Cut. Remove it from here and paste it inside here. All right. So dashboard.add event listener. Oh, okay. All right. Just trying to set things so that it will be easier on the eyes. Okay. So once it is clicked, then it will rotate, but then it will not play. So for us to be able to play it, to make the animation play, remember this here will say action. So simply go down here and say action dot play, which is a function. All right. So let me save it and see what we have. So I go to the browser. Hopefully there is no error. All right. So let me play this one. It's not playing. Don't worry. There are a few things we haven't done. All right. It's not going to play. So don't worry. There's no error. Okay. Let's continue. We are not yet done. So what we have to do now is to go down to the animate section. Okay. So here we'll first of all create a const for clock. So const clock will be new 3 dot clock. So we use this. I believe this is used for FPS something, FPS things like the frames per second stuff, like all those kind of things. So this is what we first of all get the clock. Okay, time. So we are going to get the time. Okay. So the next thing we have to do now is to go under here and put, oh, sorry. So say if mixer, so that is to say if mixer exists, then we have to update the mixer using the rate of change. So this rate of change stuff is just to make sure that the FPS runs correctly. So let me save and go over there and see what we have. So I click on dashboard. All right, you see it now animates. Okay. Back. Rims. All right. So here is your homework. Do it in a way, anyhow you can. Maybe you create a special button that once you click it, this door will close. So remember the clip action, reverse also is part of them. So that one is left for you to do. So okay, remaining the logo. So but that one is just very small. I don't need much. You just put a logo here. I don't think I will have to do that now because I don't have the time anymore, please. So thank you so much for following this tutorial. Please, anyway, thank you so much. See you next time.